I'm really not used to having to operate vehicles to progress in a platformer in the overworld. I keep feeling embarrassed when I'm piloting those vehicles. Like, when I just got back into the game, it's harder to remember how to control them well. Cause like, I wait a week before doing a new recording of this game, so there's always a week in between videos. So when I want to readjust myself to the game, this doesn't help. Like, I feel like the controls are slippery. But I don't know how well this was really made for the GameCube analog stick, which of course wasn't invented yet when this game came out. Like, see, I'm bumping into walls all over the place. I'm not sure the controls are very well. I mean, you don't have nearly enough space to do a graceful circle. I learned this from watching playthroughs of the game. This is how you unlock the extra hard lost world of the game. At least it's intuitive. All you need to do is find out which direction to go around the circle in. And there's only 2 ways to try, and I like that you're not expected to circle around an obnoxious amount of times. When I first played the game, I tried out this world later, because for some reason I found it too hard to enter the world from the overworld map. I think it's because it's such a precise position that you have to be on in order to enter the world. Like, in order to enter a world, of course, you have to be at the right place, at the flag, and press B. It's so weird that this game expects you to press B all the time instead of A. Like, it's always hard to adjust to that. But yeah, this is a pretty tense level. Of course, all the levels in the game have some degree of challenge to them. Like, you have to watch these guys in the background carefully to avoid the balls they send out at you. I don't know if they're supposed to be fireballs. They do a pretty bad job of distinguishing what they're supposed to be. All I know is the music does a great job conveying the atmosphere of this. I was caught off guard by the fact that the platform moved on its own, and only when you're on it. The hedgehogs don't look like you can hurt them, but you can hurt them with the melee attack. The logic applying to justify why you can't jump on them, you think would also apply to you not being able to attack them with melee attacks, because they're spiny. But I guess not. I guess it would be cheap if they were invincible. Of course, the annoying thing about these balls is that they bounce, so they remain a problem. Except here! I don't understand. They bounce on the lava, but not when you're on a platform. When you're on a platform, they just fall in front of the platform, which... That's inconsistent. I don't know how I avoided that. But yeah, it's basically a waiting game. You can't just rush ahead, because then you'll often get hit by the balls. So you have to constantly stop and wait. That tends to be a thing in most DKC games. It's trial and error. But it certainly makes you feel good at the game when you blast through the level like this. Like, this is one of those levels that's satisfying to play when you're experienced at the game. It's always satisfying spelling out Kong. And it's always embarrassing getting hit. Like being able to... Like, the letters are a very good way of measuring progress through a level. Like, it's especially helpful for me when I'm editing the footage, as I'll learn. Like, that's pretty dark. They reference that there was a war in a kids game. Like, you see a veteran right there. And he says the Crimean War. And there is actually a place in real life called Crimea, although it's with the C. This was hard for me to adjust to, Because, like, it's a sudden gameplay shift. And this is very hard to adjust to. You're suddenly upside down. Well, not even upside down. You often go to being on the ceiling. But only if you bounce off an enemy. Like, you can't just normally jump and always start hanging on to the ceiling. And when... See, I was caught so off guard by the fact that I was thrust into a mini-game like this. That I guess I should have lingered longer on the Bash the Fatty screen, because that was embarrassing. But yeah, it's hard to do well on this stage because, like, well, on the bright side, it gives you a break from having to constantly hold down the run button, which I always appreciate. But, and like, it is fun. It is fun in some sense. It is exciting to have a fast-paced action gameplay style. But, like, sometimes it's inconsistent how... Sometimes I swear that I get hurt jumping on top of the green things, but the whole thing that you're introduced to right away is... That's a dickhead part right there. That you have to jump on top of the barrel thingy and then jump off of it in order to be able to jump across that ledge thing. Like, there's always these little sinkholes that will kill you. Is there any logical reason for why you die if your ride gets destroyed? Is there any logical reason for why you can't just continue with the rest of the stage on foot? It's not like an anvil suddenly materializes above your head and crushes your character. He just decides to give up for no reason. It's a frustrating stage. And again, like, it establishes early on, to my surprise, that you can kill the green things by jumping on top of them when you're on that toboggan. But sometimes I swear I get hurt anyways. Like, I'm not directly above them, and so I end up running into them, and like, that's so inconsistent. Running into them hurts you when you think that the momentum of running into it would hurt it, but you can jump on it and kill it. So you can kill it with the weight of the cart, but you can't run into it and kill it with momentum. That minigame there was a precursor to the stupid snowball boss you'll see later on. And what confused me about it was that you don't... Like, the thing that your character throws in front of them, you're not supposed to pay attention to the middle of the character. The character will throw something from... And the thing that it's throwing... The thing that Dixie is throwing is on her right hand. So you have to make sure that her right hand is directly below what she's throwing at. That really throws you off, and it takes a bit to get used to. But at least if you practice in that mini-game, it'll help for later. But yeah. This is a tense level, once again. Like, there's platforms in the wooden tree trunk that you can't jump through from below them. And you'll learn to identify which ones are safe to jump through and which ones aren't. Like, it's always embarrassing falling and dying to the bonus stages, but who cares? The bonus stages feel worthless to me because they don't give you lives. Why would I care about the B coins? They don't tell you what they're called. Like, I have no reason to care about the silver medals and the B coins. They should just always be extra lives, because this game is pretty hard. Like, Mario didn't do that. Mario didn't have completely worthless extra collectibles. It just had coins, and dragon coins that gave you 5 coins. I think it might actually be better to not play as Dixie here, because it's not really about the platforming, because the platforming is pretty easy, unless you get so bored with the repetitive level design that you end up falling, because you're doing the same thing over and over again. Eventually you stop trying as hard, as you're gonna see pretty soon. See, it's easy for the level design trick you, because, like, you're expected to react quickly. And, like, the screen is scrolling up too slowly considering how fast you're moving through the level. It won't just keep up with you. And see, right there, I was so bored by the repetitive level design that I didn't try as hard and failed an easy platforming section. But yeah, you might be better off playing as Kiddy here because he can melee attack. And I feel like his melee attack has more range. Well, with Dixie, you're more focused on platforming because she's all about flight. And, like, you're constantly dealing with these enemies that you're better off just using the melee attack against because they're under low ceilings. It says blazing bananas there, or maybe it was blazing barrels. I think it was blazing bananas, because that made me think of the fact that in real life, bananas are like chocolate cake to monkeys. Like, nutritionally speaking. They're better off having something actually healthy to them. Like, you see them in the media eating bananas all the time, but that's really misinformation compared to what they actually eat. It's like how rabbits are better off eating grass and greens than actual carrots. So this whole series is perpetuating this myth about monkeys loving bananas. I'm sure they do, but it's not all they should be eating. The instant that I first started this level for this LP, the level design was immediately familiar to me, and that filled me with dread, because, oh god. If I really remember level design, it's because I had to experience it a lot when I was first playing the game, which means that it was pretty difficult. Here, I fell into a trap because if you don't have Dixie, you're screwed, because you can't fly, so you can't get across that acid. Like, this is a pretty tough level. Like, the beginning part, I remember especially. See, that S thing, it doesn't do enough to tell you what exactly it does. I mean, granted, for an experienced player, that's better, because it doesn't waste your time with a cutscene that you can't skip. But still, what is S supposed to tell me? Nothing. I think S causes the explosive barrels to not be explosive anymore, which is good because when you jump on top of the explosive barrels, you get hurt. I guess it should have been obvious to me from the start, but it's like, it's a cartoon. Like, it would make more sense, it would immediately pop out to you that the TNT barrels shouldn't be jumped on if they were red, but instead they look too much like normal barrels when you look at them at first glance. But I do love the idea of the barrels that you jump across one after the other in order to progress. Like, I do like the idea. Like, it's always tense doing that, which is why you're better off using Dixie just in case. But yeah, I like the idea of it. Like, it's satisfying Badnik bouncing from one barrel to another. It's inventive. Like, that's a great thing about these games, is they always invent new gimmicks for the levels so that you're always interested in what's coming up. See, that's so annoying that they go to the left instead of to the right, and you're heading to the right, so you're gonna get hurt by them. Blazing bazookas. Okay. I guess I misread it as bananas. What I like about this level is that you're not forced to hold down the run button all the time, because you move slow. So that's good for your hands. They don't have to hold down the Y button all the time. I guess it is a bit annoying that you move slower, but I appreciate having a break from the run button. I like the music too. It's great at creating the atmosphere. Like, as usual. Like, I guess, like, it's something inconsistent about this is, I guess we're supposed to believe that you move slower because you're moving through a poisonous fog, but later on you're going to get to a level where your controls are reversed and you're swimming underwater, and you're supposed to believe it's reversed because you're swimming in poison. So they changed the rules. They changed the effects of poison on you. And we're not told that the monkey and Kitty later visit a wizard who removes all the harmful effects of poison. We're not told that they visited a wizard who gave them an air bubble that would make them immune to the poison. It's distractingly unrealistic, even for a game where you're playing as a monkey and gorilla. This guy kinda sucks. His precursor had an actual attack, but this guy can only, like, pick up barrels with the Y button and throw it at... he can't even throw barrels that far. I love that bonus music. But this is so slow. You use the control pad to move him up and down. And this time, holding down the run button does make a difference. Somehow you're expected to know that his beak will clip through that red Ziggy, so you can progress past them just fine. That's confusing visual design. But yeah, you have to be careful about which side he's holding the barrel. Because if you're not careful, then you're not gonna hurt the enemy. So you have to be facing in the right way. It's an engaging challenge. And it's easy for you to get surprised cheap shotted because you're flying upwards and you don't really have much time to react to what's going to pop on the north side of the screen because you're trapped in the center of the camera. So you don't get to see much of what's ahead of you when you're going upwards. So you gotta take it slow. You gotta be careful. Like, what even is this place? Sewer pipes? It's a nice touch that the life icon changes to match the animal buddy you're now playing as. Donkey Kong Country 3 was one of the last games to be released on the SNES. In fact, its release coincided with the release of Super Mario 64 and the Nintendo 64. Oh, that explains why they advertised it with Wrinkly Kong playing the game. And the trivia, of course, mentions exactly that. I hate this part because, like, Kiddy Kong is such a wide character. It's harder than it looks to avoid landing on those red Ziggies. Like, do they really have to have that many red Ziggies? I can understand if they were all on the ceiling, or all on the floor. Well, not all on the floor even, because then it'd be tedious to constantly jump over them. I was just about to fight the boss, but, you know, the video's going on long enough as it is. And it's a tough boss, so...